So we're going to be going over the last 4 or 5 questions from the last night's homework assignment. All right, so let's get going. Here, f of x was equal to square root of 4 plus square root of 3x. You see, the outermost layer would have been square root of x, as square root right over here. And then the second layer, when you look into that, would have been right over here inside, 4 plus square root of 3x. But within the square root of 3x, you will realize that there's another layer. Let me use the blue, which is 3x. So in fact, this has quite multiple layers of um, expressions. So let us try to look into this one, see what we can do with it. So what if you had to set first expression as f of u? Let me try to write it with red, just to be consistent. F of u, in this case, would have been square root of u, where everything inside becomes u. Now, then in this case, then let us say u of maybe k would have been equal to, let me just use the green, then here becomes 4 plus square root. Now, uh, since the innermost area, we have another value, we call that as k. Now, then we get to realize that 3, the third one would be k is equal to 3x. So we see these 3 layers of expression coming together to find, to make f of x. Now, the fact by the chain rule, what we need to do is this. In order for us to figure out f prime of u, what we needed to do would have been simply uh, find the derivative of square root of u. In this case, we can consider this one as u to the 1/2 power. So therefore, this becomes 1/2 comes to the front, and we end up getting u to the negative 1/2. But we also have to multiply this one by u prime. Now, let us look at what u prime is. U prime can be figured out from our second expression. Here we see that u prime, when 4 becomes 0, once again, then the rest of the second layer looks just like the first layer, which you end up getting 1/2 k to the negative 1/2 power, and multiply that by k prime. Now, the third layer here becomes, since k is equal to 3x, k prime simply is equal to 3. Now, if you're to put all those things together, then what we end up getting is this. 1/2 u to the negative 1/2 power times. So I'm just going to call this one as f prime. I didn't specify the variable because we're going to have mixed variable here. U prime is equal to this one, which is equal to 1/2 k, as you can see over here, uh, negative 1/2 power times k prime. Now, as you can see, k prime is equal to 3, so we're going to multiply that by 3 in place of k prime. Now, then, once you combine them, then we end up getting 3 is the only numerator, and 2 times 2 becomes 4, and we end up getting square root of u, because that's what negative 1/2 power do to u, so as square root of k. But as we have seen before, u was equal to whatever was inside, and we can in fact write down the whole thing here. Instead of using k, we can call this one as 3 over 4 times square root of 4 plus 3x. Now, and then since k is equal to 3x, so square root of k becomes multiplied by square root of 3x. That becomes our final answer. And now we can call this one as f prime of x. All right, now let us look at the next question, number 13. Here we have as Rachel has done in the class, we have 4 times cosine of x whole thing to the 5th power. Now, once again, later when we get used to it, we can just look at the layers and then be able to find the derivative by using the chain rule. But for now, let us try to set up the layers. You see, the outermost layer will be something to the 5th power, and inside one will be cosine of x. So what we can do is let u equal to cosine of x. Then here, we can rewrite the first expression as f of u, which is equal to 4 times u to the 5th power, where u equals to cosine of x. Now then f prime then becomes, by the power rule, we're going to have 20 u to the 4th power times by u prime. Now, but what is the u prime from here? U prime we get to see to be negative sine of x, because derivative of cosine is becomes negative sine. So if you have to put that in this section, we will end up getting 20 in place of u. We're going to put cosine of x to the 4th power, and u prime here becomes negative sine of x. Now then, ultimately we realize f prime becomes negative 20 cosine to the 4th power of x times sine of x. That becomes our final answer for number 13. Now, number 15. Here we have 2 layers, as you can see. Outer layer being the sine, and inner layer being 1 over x squared. So in fact, if you had to rewrite this one, we would write it as f of x, or you know what, maybe I'll just rewrite this one as f of u is equal to sine of u, where u equals to, let me just rewrite this one as x to the negative 2 power. Now, then when you take the derivative, then sine of u becomes simply cosine of u, because derivative of sine equals cosine, and we got to multiply that by u prime. But what is u prime? Here, as you can see, u prime would have been negative 2 x to the negative 3 power. Now, by applying that here, we will end up getting cosine of u, which was equal to 1 over x squared, and u prime becomes negative 2 x to the negative 3 power. So our final answer becomes f of x, or f prime of x rather, becomes negative 2 cosine of 1 over x squared whole thing divided by x to the 3rd power. You see, the negative exponent implies that it has to go to the different location, which means in this case it will be the denominator. Alright, so that was number 15. Let us continue for the next question, number 19. Here we have now you see, in this case we have 3 layers. First layer being the square root of something, second layer being the cosine, and third layer being the 5x. So here we could have f of x is equal to f of u, my bad. F of u is equal to square root of u, where u is equal to cosine of k, and then we can say k is equal to 5x. Then just like earlier one, number 7 I believe, we have 3 layers here. So what we're going to be doing is f prime becomes, we have to take the square root of u. So we need to find the derivative of square root of u, then it becomes 1/2 and u to the negative 1/2 power. And we got to multiply that by u prime. And then, but what is u prime here? U prime here is equal to negative sine of k times k prime. But what is k prime here? Is equal to 5. So therefore, this becomes 1/2 u to the negative 1/2 power, and u prime being this times negative sine of k times k prime, but k prime being 5, so in place of k prime we can simply plug in 5 here. Now, when you simplify everything, then we get to realize that we have negative 5, and then sine of k being the 5x, so we're going to have 5x here on top. Whole thing divided by 2 from the first fraction, and then 1/2 u, that means square root of u now becomes cosine of 5x. That becomes our final answer, f prime of x. All right, now let us look at the next question. Here we in fact have many layers. You see that the whole entire expression to the negative third power, that's one thing. And the second thing will be the cosecant, and the third thing will be the one inside. So if you had to write it, f of u would have been simply this being u to the negative 3 power. Now u becomes, now what is x? We can write down x as something else later. So for example, I'm going to go to the other side where, what if you call last section, which is I can call it x plus k of x. How about that? Where this intermediate portion becomes k of x. Now, then what is k of x? K of x becomes simply cosecant of x cubed plus 3, and then I'll say w of x becomes the one inside, x cubed plus 3. Yes, we do have many layers of things happening here. Now, then first, f prime becomes negative 3 u to the negative 4 times u prime. But what is u prime? Now let's try to look at one at a time. U prime becomes 1 because of the x. Now next one simply becomes plus k prime. But what is k prime here? K prime is equal to derivative of cosecant. Derivative of cosecant is negative cotangent of the expression here inside. Why don't I call it as w? Because inside the expression was w. Now, times cosecant w. And w prime becomes simply 3x squared. Now, then second step would have been negative 3 u to the negative 4th power times u prime here becomes 1 plus k prime. K prime here becomes here k prime becomes minus cotangent w times cosecant w, and we gotta multiply that by w prime. But we realize that w prime is the 3x squared. So let me just write it down w prime for now. Now, if you write down the expressions, here we get negative 3. U has the negative exponent, so this will be going to the denominator. And U will be the things inside. So we have, or we can just write it as it is, I guess. X plus cosecant of x cubed plus 3 to the negative 4th power. Now, the one after would be 1 plus, or 1 minus because of the minus sign. cotangent w was equal to x cubed plus 3. And then cosecant of x plus 3, x cubed plus 3. And then we need to multiply only to these. You see? Only to that portion we gotta multiply by w prime. W prime here becomes 3x squared. Alright, so there it goes. That becomes our final answer. Alright, see you guys later. Bye-bye.